Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Wise Tech for Wise Money. Today we'll discuss bringing hope home, how clinical research is transforming healthcare in rural communities. Before I dive in, I'll give you a little bit of context. I'm Gary Wayne of A1 Solutions International. We partner with healthcare and business leaders to help them navigate the evolving landscapes of AI automation, patient engagement and operational excellence to scale their businesses. Today I'm joined by Danielle, Communications Director at Sante Clinical Research, an innovative clinical trial facility making groundbreaking medical treatments accessible to communities in the Texas Hill Country. We're interviewing industry leaders like Danielle to gain a deeper insight into how clinical research facilities are bridging the gap between cutting-edge medical innovation and underdeserved communities, while exploring opportunities for AI and automation to enhance patient recruitment and trial management. Thanks, Danielle, for joining us. It's really a pleasure to have you on board. Hope you're well today.
Yes, we are,
Before
absolutely.
You're good. It looks like you're in the middle of summer there, where here it's dark.
That's the pleasure of Central Texas. We get to enjoy summer a little bit further, for sure.
Yeah, I'm living in the wrong place. Can you give us a little bit of history about yourself, how Sante Clinical Research came about, and generally what you do?
Absolutely, yes. So my name is Danielle Monclova. I am the director and owner of Sante Clinical Research. We have just turned 10 years old this month, so that is something that is very exciting for the clinic as we continue to grow. And our backstory is very unique, as everybody's, I think, why of what pushed them into the medical practice, I think, is very unique to all of our different stories as well. So my personal why is that I actually had a child that had advanced special medical needs, and I knew at a very early point during the pregnancy that we were going to have a complex medical pregnancy, and then of course the first few years that really helped propel me into becoming a specialist in pediatric hematology, pediatric cardiology, pediatric gastroenterology, and especially because of the need to as a parent at that point. In 2014, I actually moved out here to Kerrville and was working under the practice of another research practice. And at that time, there was the opportunity for that practice to grow. And their current infrastructure was not being able to withstand the new growth into the new community. I currently had patients, though, that was on some fabulous medications, and I felt very, very passionate about wanting to be able to continue their care. What is really interesting is that this COPD medication that I was seeing change their lives is now on the market as Trilogy, which is something that we are all very, very familiar with in the COPD and asthma market as well. During that time, I just couldn't have the heart to take these patients off drug. So with that just push and creation, I was able to create my own LLC. I moved the contracts for the patients that they were currently on that protocol over. And Sante was created inside of one exam room, inside of another busy doctor's office of 4 exam rooms. So we started off very, very small. The entire practice, again, was done within one exam room with one physician. And since then, we have been able to grow to a new, larger facility. We now have 2 MDs and 3 PAs working with us as well. And we have been able to serve and be able to really help with a lot of the different medical needs for not only Kerrville, but a lot of the surrounding areas and communities as well.
That's amazing. What a fantastic story. It's great to talk to someone who's so passionate. What major shifts have you seen and how patients in rural communities access these clinical trials today compared with, say, 5 years ago?
Absolutely. I would say that honestly, the biggest push has been social media involvement. So you are seeing a lot more of these support groups coming about as well. And we're seeing a lot more of the central campaigns, and people will see this either on their Facebook, Instagram, and they'll see little pops ups. Do you have asthma? Do you have migraines? Specific indications as well too. And these are able to become tailored to more of the SEOs within specific network communities. And these are getting really pushed out by different Google searches or different things that patients may be looking up on their own computers as well too. Being able to have social media reach these new patient populations in rural communities have made a huge drastic change. In addition to that, one thing that we have really pushed for through the sponsors and CROs is to include a lot more travel opportunities for patients, as we have been able to understand that if we do not have the correct diversity in research studies, those protocols and those projects completely die when they go to FDA approval. So by being able to increase and enhance more rural involvement, we're seeing a lot more success with all those trials all the way around, but primarily by being able to utilize social media to reach those patients as well.
You mentioned asthma and COPD. Is that something you specialise in, or just an array of some of the trials you do?
So we actually are able to specialize in one of the very few only diverse clinical trial locations as well. So not only do we perform a large majority of COPD and asthma studies, but we're also one of the few that are running different diabetic, cholesterol, and cardiac trials as well too. So we have a really nice diverse of respiratory and endocrine trials running.
Might be a premature question, but I'm interested. How do you get funded for all this?
This is a great question as well too, actually. So for each particular trial, we are able to make up a contract with each of those CROs or sponsors, whether it's GSK, AstraZeneca, Novo Nordisk. And so what we'll say is that we have, let's say, 5 patients that we can roll into a diabetic study. They then contract us out for those 5 patients, and then we get paid per each of those visit completions as well through that contract with those sponsors as well.
So they actually fund you, and I suppose in a way you're actually pushing their products.
Absolutely, yeah. And so the way that we really, really help bring the honing in on the idea of research is that every single medication currently at the pharmacy has to continuously go through our our clinical trial process as well too. So again, these are all going to be every single medication that you're currently seeing. Yes, we do work in tangent to be able to help get their products out to market. And then in addition, for us, it's also allowing for our patients in the community to have access to medications they may not have the opportunity to gain access to.
How many people do you have working on these trials?
We currently have 5 full-time employees and 4 physicians and NPs and PAs.
Are they pharmacists or doctors, or
So yes,
what do
sir,
they
we have
have to
2.
work with?
Yes, so we have 2 MDs, and then we have 2 physician assistants, and they are working in what we call the investigator and then the sub-investigator role as well. So those are the physicians and the medical personnel that are helping review the different procedures that the study staff are completing on site as well. So we will perform things like the pulmonary function tests, the EKGs, the lab work, and the physicians are reviewing those as well.
It's
And
really
then, of course,
interesting.
yeah, and then of course all this information is centrally uploaded so that all this data gets put together to be able to help put to market and show that the efficacy on a particular product is superior over another one as well too. And so again, it's just amazing to see how every single protocol and every product gets to market by way of these new protocols as well. One of my favorite examples is that if you have, and again we use asthma and COPD is a really easily example. Medications that are currently approved for COPD, if you do not have a diagnosis of COPD, but let's say you have a diagnosis of asthma, your insurance will not cover that medication without the proper diagnosis. So that is definitely where we see a lot of that, making sure that these medications are also indicated, and they have sometimes multiple uses as well. So that's a lot of the times where we're working to be able to get those multiple uses approved.
Fantastic. How has the clinical research landscape changed for phase 3 and phase 4 trials in specialty areas like respiratory, endocrinology and neurology?
I would say the biggest change that we're seeing now is a lot of what we call decentralized trials. So a lot of the major organizations are going to where you're having a primary investigator at a particular site, but now maybe you're having more satellite sites or smaller clinics, and the purpose of this is to be able to reach more communities as well. Sometimes when you're able to see a particular protocol, you will be shocked at the minimum number of representation there is across the nation as well. So we have a lot of concentration in certain regions, whether it's the Northeast, Florida, Texas, California, but you'll see wide areas that are not being represented, and that's why these decentralized trials are being able to help represent those populations.
Is this a result of technology that's
Yes, sir.
helping you to do this?
Absolutely. And we did see a biggest push actually post COVID as well. Everybody
Right.
has different opinions on how the COVID vaccine came out. But as a researcher, my personal opinion was all of the all of the different protocols that we were working on in 2020. All the recruitment for other protocols immediately discontinued. You only kept patients enrolled on studies that were already active. All the researchers in all the nations completely focused and stopped and went to work on one project as well. So if you think about all the time and dedication that we put on multiple different projects across the board as well, if we all just put all that focus into one, we were able to make something amazing happen. But we also realized the importance of telemedicine, of wearable devices, and of different ways that we could be able to transmit patient data without having to have so much face-to-face interaction.
You've got a lot in your head going on there.
You got
A
it,
lot of
sir.
information.
Absolutely.
Well, what challenges do clinical research facilities face in recruiting and retaining diverse patient populations in rural markets?
I think that in rural markets, we actually have an advantage to retaining patients as opposed to they do in urban areas. So in my particular lovely little city of Kerrville, we see the same patients staying and rarely moving from the community as well. And this is crucial because most of the patients that do leave trials are mainly because they have to go and move with other family members. So you're not seeing a lot of the movement for, let's say, in the military for different job relocations or education and things as well too. That really helps us retain patients in our particular sector. In the urban area though, there's a lot more movement, so it is much harder to retain patients in that area as well. I think that being able to keep quality staff members and the same staff is also crucial to rebuilding that patient rapport so that they can be able to have that same trustworthy face when they're going into the clinic.
Fantastic. Tell me, maybe you can walk us through your role as, the owner and communications director. How do you bridge the gap between complex medical research and community understanding?
Absolutely. This is something that we love to do. So throughout the year, we are continuously involved in whatever different community events that are going on as well too. So we start off the year usually with a big Easter Fest, which is one of the larger events that we're able to reach the community as well, and mainly through education. We have been here in Kerrville for the last 10 years, but this particular county also not only serves Kerrville, but other counties around it. So education to these markets at these different frequent events is really, really key and essential. And then the diversification of these events. So whether it's an Easter Fest or it's a car fest. Yesterday I was at the Early Childhood Center speaking to some parents about different trials. And so just continuously having that face within the community I think is huge. Another thing that we specialize in is doing lunch and learns with a lot of the local practitioners. So they've gotten to know our face and will come by every 3 to 4 months, share some of the new trials that are going on within our practice so that they are aware that there are new treatments available for their patients. It doesn't take that first or even the second lunch and learn to build that trust within those network partners, but then eventually they say, hey, wait a minute, we have seen Sante. Hey, wait a minute, they did help with mom's diabetes. They did help with, my child's migraines, whatever it might be. So then that constant word of mouth also really helps push things forward for some of these complex medical diagnoses.
How else do you educate the community? What other systems or means do you use?
Yeah, I would say, we really try, just like when we had mentioned, originally, social media being a bigger presence and being able to reach the patient population is one thing that we've really focused on. Because we have such a diverse range of patients and trials, we are running everything from trials that need 4-year-old asthmatics to patients that are in the hospice environment as well. So by being on different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok even as well, it's allowed us to be able to reach those patients of multiple generations and multiple ways of accessing their technology needs as well.
Do you do that yourself, or you got staff to do it?
We do a kind of a mixture of it as well too. So, even yesterday we were posting a video about how we've created a free food pantry up in the front office. And so the girls and I will, constantly either be helping contribute, whether it's different video clips and digital images and things of that nature. Having a dedicated marketer on board is definitely one of my growing pains that I'm looking to be able to increase and have on board and on staff.
What therapeutic areas is Sante currently focused on outside of asthma and COPD? I think you mentioned diabetes as well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes. So we definitely are working in the endocrine department for diabetes. We also have completed very successful cholesterol trials as well. And we've actually worked pretty well in some of the neurology aspect of things. We will be completing 2 Alzheimer trials and a pediatric migraine study, with a few more migraine studies on the horizon.
Pediatric migraines, I mean, how do they, is that something people suffer from a lot?
Actually, I thought this was not going to be nearly as common as it unfortunately has been. So I did not realize that children were suffering with as many migraines as they were. This trial is allowing participation as young as 6 years old all the way through 17, and recognizing that this is actually something that is debilitating for children. If a child is having, let's say some mild asthma problems, they take their inhaler, they go back to class, they go back to recess, whatever that might look like. But in the migraine sector, they're out for the entire day, the same way that it affects adults as well too. And with the puberty hitting and that pubertal years as well, you're really seeing a peak of those symptoms, which again, I did not recognize myself, maybe because my daughter wasn't, having them herself, so I wasn't really clued in to that parent group there as well. But since then, we have allowed for parents to come in all over Texas, as well, and to be able to have that option to participate as well.
Pediatric migraine, I mean, what causes it? Is it something you're born with, or is it something you grow into?
Yes, sir. So we have actually noticed a huge familial portion of things. And most of the times when I am interviewing those patients, mom, dad, and or siblings are usually also sufferers as well too. So I am seeing a huge familial component of that. Again, we are not here to unfortunately prevent the migraines.
Yeah. What does the typical patient journey look like from initial contact through to study completion?
That is one of our favorite questions as well too. Depending on the patient's understanding or of prior experience in research, we really try to make sure that they're going to understand what that first visit will look like. The informed consent will give them all the details of the trial as well, but we've often realized, as opposed to sending somebody a 25-page attachment, talk to them. Let them know what that's really going to look like. Your first day, these are some of the things that we're going to be doing together. This is how long your first visit will take as well too. On the first day, we usually say that we're making sure that all of the boxes complete and that none of them that are not supposed to don't work as well too. So we're reviewing all of the inclusion and exclusion criteria as well. On site, we will make sure that we're collecting any medical records that have to be collected prior to ensure that patient does qualify for it. So we usually do all that beforehand, but we have been working with technology to send out medical release forms via DocuSign and to get a lot of those done with that patient prior to their first visit. When they are on site, they're usually fasting. They will have their blood work done, EKGs, and then they'll have that visit with the physician as well too. We will then submit all of that information to the sponsor to make sure that patient qualifies. And then within a few weeks, we'll receive that information back, and then we'll start that first dosage of medication for them.
What metrics do you focus on most? Patient enrollment rates, retention, community engagement, sponsor satisfaction. I mean, how do you look at it?
We're usually trying to be able to look at in terms of enrollment and especially the timeline that we're trying to complete something as well too. So a lot of the times these contracts will be pushed out for us to be able to enroll 10 patients, let's say within 8 to 12 months. A large majority of these protocols are competitive as well, so we really try to be able to at least get our first 10 patients in and then try to see if we can be able to manage some additional patients thereafter as well. After that, retaining those patients, because that doesn't seem to be a very, it's not one of our growing pains. We seem to be, something that we do really well. I don't think that retaining patients is a hard part for us, but it's usually in the new recruitment of new protocols as well too. Okay.
Well,
Perfect.
one of the biggest challenges in helping patients understand clinical trials and overcome hesitation about their participation.
Absolutely. One of my favorites is
Did you get
actually a
that?
video. Yes, sir. One of my favorites is a video that Sante actually put out recently on YouTube. It is a video that they put out. It's called MT Pharmacy. And the best part is it really helps show patients that direct what is on the pharmacy directly comes from your direct participation as well too. So it gives that direct understanding as opposed to trying to give some of the larger medical jargon at them as well. So that is something, again, different videos that you can be able to break it down with. Again, we don't have, there's different on-the-spot visual components for the trial as well too. So again, and also patient testimonials, if there's any of that material from the sponsors that we can be able to help bridge that gap and really help help with that understanding. Inside the clinic as well too, we do have an education center explaining a little bit about the different phases of research and about what the term placebo means, and just really helping with some of those different glossary terms that patients are hit, with some of those new terms that patients need a glossary to be able to help define and understand.
Sure. How do you currently identify and reach potential trial partners?
So we actually have about 45.
How do you make them aware it's available?
Yeah, so we have about 4,500 research patients on site, so we'll go ahead and review those currently on that portion.
4,500.
Yes, sir.
4,500.
Yes, sir.
That's huge.
4,500. Yes. So,
That
and
is huge.
within each of those, each of our investigators, we have the 2 MDs and then the 3 PAs. They all work in different medical practices as well. So after we've exhausted our database, we look then to different referrals and advertisement that we can be able to do within the community. And we usually start this off at the very beginning of a new trial anyway, so that these 2 marketing tools are kind of working concurrently at that point. Within the community, we are also doing things that, are kind of tried and true. We have a local radio station that does actually, that has advertisements on 5 of the different stations there. So we'll go on in the mornings and do some different, live opportunities, speaking with the DJ and kind of, explaining some of those different trial opportunities as well.
I mean, it sounds quite fun, even though it's a very serious, thing that you're offering and a great service. You sound like you're actually administering it with a little bit of fun behind it. With all
We
you
do.
radio stations. And
Yes, yeah. I gotta say, the fairs and the festivals and the radio stations, it may seem like a little bit of glitz and glamour, but truly our the reason for why we want to do this out here in the community is very, very passionate. And you can tell by all the staff members that work with us and the physicians, everybody really, really loves what they do as well. So that is pretty evident by all of our work for sure.
What role does patient education play in your recruitment strategy?
I would say huge. It really does. And I think that the hardest part about it is that patients not knowing that there may be other opportunities for their treatment as well. So educating them on the different possibilities for treatment, and then also whatever that condition may be. So let's say if it's a diabetic trial, we're really trying to focus on food qualities and food choices as well. Are you there, Gary? And different respiratory trials, we are always looking at the different ways that different respiratory allergens may be affecting them. So again, education just throughout the year is huge.
I read about a patient in a cyclical vomiting syndrome support group back in 2021. Can you talk about how you engage with patient communities online and offline?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, this one was huge for us. It really was. Our cyclical vomiting opportunity allowed us to enroll patients from all over the United States. Again, it was one of those trials that did not have a large amount of study centers that were available as well. And by finding the correct niche of community support groups, we were able to really, really offer such an amazing solution for these patients that are in a condition where there are very minimal treatments available, and a disease that's very ununderstood as well.
Yeah, I've never heard about it until I read about it, but I just can't get over the amount of good work you're doing. How do you currently use technology in your patient and communication processes?
So we are currently, all of our internal, the way that patients think of their EMR system is done for us. We have what we call our clinical trial management system. Everything is done online. Luckily, it is not a software, so I'm not worrying about different software updates and everything. But luckily, we're able to contact the patients, review their medical history, and view everything within a specific portal as well. The future of research is really being able to help move more progressively with the production of regulatory systems, e-source documents and things, but I do remind patients and at least other medical professionals as well that the world of research is just a little bit further behind because we do need to have all these processes agree and align with the FDA and with the EMA and different other countries' governmental institutions as well. But AI is one thing that I have been flirting with quite a bit. I have been watching webinars and podcasts myself in ways that I can be able to implement AI in the recruitment process and making sure that patients are also being able to keep that satisfaction and retaining throughout the trial.
Do you exchange a lot of information globally, or is this a very localized service?
We do, actually. So I would say a majority of our partners are outside of the U.S. So most of our sponsors are located in either in Europe mostly as well. And I would say a large, even throughout the day, a lot of our contacts are not within the central time zone. A lot of the things that we, a lot of our partners that we speak with are either East Coast, West Coast, or international as well, which is amazing because we're able to really share different viewpoints of how our medical practices are as well, which is amazing.
Do you have plans to have other facilities across the country? Well, I was just wondering if you were looking to expand your facilities across the US. I know you've only got one at the moment, but I wonder if you had plans of having them in other states.
Yes, so we are looking to actually have at least 2 to 3 additional sites here in Texas pretty soon. And I say that was within the next 5 to 7 year goal range as well. And other states as well, we are looking for those other medical personnel, but there is the potential, to have one in Florida in the next, also within that 7-year range as well for us.
Do you have to get sponsors to do that?
We do, and so when we'll actually set that up, let's say we would probably utilize the Sante umbrella, and then maybe create other clinics from that portion, and then potentially share some of the same contracts or availability to some of those different contracts that we currently have with some of those sponsors. But the hard part for each of those is looking at your local population. So if we opened up in Michigan, we'd need to see what the population of Michigan would be able to support, and again for each of those new communities as we go along.
Cool. Sounds exciting. I can't believe you've done all this from a back room of a doctor's office and you've got to where you are. You must have worked very, very, very hard. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for automation in clinical trial management? You know, scheduling, follow-ups, data collection, data management, etc.
I do believe that the automations of the trainings, the access for the different investigators and staff to be able to reach the multitude of things that are kind of going on in the background. So I was able to give you kind of the patient perspective in terms of what we do, of how we interact with the patients and things, but there is a wild world of regulatory automation that we are really looking to be able to get moved into the electronic versions of things pretty soon as well. So that is definitely within the next portions of our growing pains for sure. And that is where we see the next opportunity for growth with technology for sure.
Have you explored AI tools for patient screening or eligibility matching,
Yes,
automated outreach?
yes, I have, and
What did you find?
I'm not sure if we've been able to settle on something yet, and I think that's the hardest part, is being able to, there's so many great opportunities out there right now. So I am really in the truly, no pun intended, researching state of it as well, where I'm just trying to gather as much data from these new systems as well, and being able to speak to other like-minded professionals to see what's working for them in their offices as well too. So.
Where do you see the biggest growth opportunities for Sante clinical research in the next 3 to 5 years?
I do believe that we will be adding on at least 2 to 3 new MDs, and with that we're looking to be able to add in their access to their patient populations, either within their practice or within their subspecialty as well. We currently have a new wound care and dermatology specialist coming on board, so we'll be able to start initiating trials like leg ulcers and different really specialized dermatology wound, different types of trials as well. I'm also looking to add on a pain management specialist, as we realize that most importantly within our community, these were some of the needs that our community was asking for as well. And so that's what we're really trying to fulfill in the next 3 to 5 years.
I want to backtrack a little bit. This is just a question I'm interested in. You mentioned cholesterol a little while ago. What's the clinic's view on statins then?
Repeat that last question.
What's the view on statins?
Oh, that's a great question. It really is. So when I came around, and I say I came around, I've been working in research now for the last 17 years. And so statins had just come onto the market as well. And then a new medication called Repatha had just become introduced as well. So prior to statins coming on board, the options for cholesterol management were very, very minimal. They really were. And then when statins were able to have that initiation within that as a treatment, it has changed the game, the whole game for it in terms of heart disease. It really is. Again, I'm coming from the US, where heart disease is such a predominant factor here as well too, and compliancy is the hugest aspect. Statins do come along with their different risk for muscle pains, myalgia, and things as well. And you're able to really easily detect this, though, on a blood sample. So statins, I think, have completely changed the games. Without it, not having proper cholesterol control can be fatal, as we've all seen for sure. But being able to work even a step past that as well. Statins were the oral medication that we have been able to kind of look at everything. The next step for cholesterol control is the new biologics that are coming out. And so Repatha was the first one that we saw that was recently introduced. There is a new one that just actually gained approval for triglycerides. And I think that we'll be able to see a lot less of the side effects with these new targeted therapies.
Are they better than statins, and they have less side effects, as you say?
They will. Yeah, they'll have much lower side effects as well because of the fact that they're going to be going into the body and they're going to be targeting exactly where that body needs to be working on that cholesterol receptor, as opposed to statins need to going within your body and then they go throughout all of it systemically as well too. So Repatha is a great example as well. It goes to the liver and it blocks the LDL receptors from allowing the LDL to be absorbed in the liver, so it allows it to just be excreted. This has changed cholesterol, I mean, just tremendously. It really has. So just to look for those new options, as well.
It's fantastic. I mean, I take a statin. I've never had a problem with them. The heart disease was running my family.
Yes, sir.
I was quite unemployed in my life. But I've never had any side effects.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of bad press about statins.
You do.
Both globally, both from the US and the UK, and I never understood why.
Yeah, for sure.
When
And
moving back to go on.
no, I was going to say
Finish. Go.
I've heard it, I've seen it as well too, but I also realize that people don't recognize that if we removed statins from the market, what would the entire treatment of heart disease look like? So
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Just going back to technology, I mean, how do you envisage technology and AI changing patient recruitment and trial management? You see it as a big help?
I do. I think that in less than 3 years, we're going to be working smarter, not harder. And I am very interested to be able to see how AI can be able to help bridge that gap for us without losing the personal patient touch. So that's my fear, is that medicine needs to have a personal touch in order to create trust, rapport, and to be able to have that relationship. When we introduce something like AI, I won't take phone calls if it starts off with an AI automation as well. So I'm really trying to be able to figure out the way that it can still be advantageous without losing trust in the process and in research and overall.
I think AI has got to be looked upon as it is. It's an aid. It's not a replacement.
Yeah.
So it's fair, and we install it. We monitor it. As consultants, etc. It's not all we do, but we use those tools. And AI is there to make your life easier. It's not there to take away the human element. It's not there to replace humans, which is a big misconception. It's fair to make all the processes that we have to do manually just easier.
Yes.
That is the point of AI, from where I come from anyway.
Absolutely.
What excites you most about the future of clinical research in community settings?
I have a great sense of hope, especially in the next few years, to be able to see that patients are going to have a lot more excitement about research as well. And I say this because I've seen such this big peak of interest, let's say even post-COVID as well. There was a huge interest because suddenly clinical research was the hot topic that people were actually, it was a name that people were discussing now. So now suddenly people kind of ventured out a little bit. Okay, well, y'all do research. What does that look like? What does that mean, as well? So I'm really hoping that in the next few years, we're able to still diffuse these misconceptions about what research has done in the past, different projects that may be dwindling down. I still come from areas here in the South where the Tuskegee was still such an awful situation, but it's still within the minds of those great-grandparents or grandparents that are still at home as well. So we need to be able to help diffuse a lot of those misconceptions about research and really highlighting the importance of how this can complement patients' medical care.
Fantastic. What's been the biggest operational challenge you faced in scaling your patient recruitment efforts? Although it doesn't seem like you have had many, seeing that you've got 4,500.
Well, no, I was going to say we still have plenty of challenges for sure. I would still say recruitment is one of those things that you can still call 100 people. 50 might qualify, 25 may be available, and 10 may be interested. So at the end of the day, it's still a numbers game, and that's why I really am hoping to be able to see for that growth of AI to be able to help automate some of this recruitment opportunities as well for patients, and making it easier for them to sign up and to be able to access some of that information as well. I feel that recruitment is still one of the biggest challenges that we have, especially because the things that I'm recruiting for yesterday may not be the same project that I'm looking to recruit for in 6 months. So having that continuous ever-changing capability to adapt those different recruitment processes to that project as well too, because again, if you're recruiting for an Alzheimer's study, that needs to be different than recruiting for a pediatric asthma as well.
Sure. How do
Flexibility.
you balance? Yeah, flexibility. But I think you can get that with tools. How do you balance personalised patient care with the efficiency needed to meet enrolment timelines?
Honestly, as a business owner, trying to be able to balance everything is always that is definitely one of the key factors of things. We have been able to put into place different team members that are able to help look over the quality control of different aspects in the clinic as well. So whether that's managing the scheduling aspect and keeping patients satisfied about the next visit that's coming up, to another team that's working to keep the sponsors compliant and everybody's satisfied over on that portion of things, really being able to help manage out different team members that specialize in that portion of the team, or of those different abilities and needs. I'm always a huge advocate of, don't fit a square through a circle. Utilize your staff's, advantages and their skills to the max operation that we can as well too. So, somebody that's not very chatty and friendly, we're not going to make them be doing a lot of the different, pre-scheduling calls and things as well too. So, just really trying to be able to hone in on their skills.
What approaches have worked best for maintaining patient engagement throughout longer trials? Is that quite something hard to manage?
Yeah, luckily within a small town, the one thing that we really try to focus on is being engaged in the patients' personal lives, within their families, really trying to get to know them a little bit more than just their medical condition from what they're coming in for. We have hosted baby showers, we've hosted birthday parties, we've sent wedding congratulations, we send flowers when patients have a loved one that passes away, so we really just try to be, that additional family member, in many sides and symptoms as well, really helping to know that they can be able to call upon us for anything else that's needed, whereas you don't get to call your regular doctor's office for some of those as well too, so we really try to just to be another.
UK, you can't even get through to your doctor.
No, press 1, right, and leave a message.
If you could wave a magic wand to fix one thing in clinical trial recruitment or management, what would it be? What would your
I
magic wand be?
Yeah, I think the biggest portion that we are actually having in terms of trial management as well for us, it's the same double-edged sword, right? So as one of my coordinators, for her to operate one trial, she logs in to 5 different portals in one day. Now, each of the coordinators are running 7 different trials, so you can easily do the math on that. In terms of being able to efficiently manage things, this will be part of the growing pains for the sponsors and the CROs on their side. But again, one login, right? That would be able to make our management of our efficiency of the clinic running so much smoother. I can't tell you how much time we're on the phone with helpdesk. It is ridiculous as well, because one of those 5 portals won't work correctly, and each of those coordinators have 2 to 3 patients that last 3 hours apiece, as well. So once we're able to, again, technology is helping us, but in many ways it's still harming us. But once we're able to make that work more efficiently, I think we'll be maximizing our time better.
Danielle, what's your advice for healthcare organisations considering expanding into clinical research? What can be some advice?
That's a great question. I would say to potentially reach out and speak to as many other business owners and within that industry as possible, and to attend as many of the different relevant seminars as humanly possible as well. So as I had mentioned to you, Gary, I really kind of got thrown into this on a dream and kind of backed into a corner as well, really trying to do the best for my patients. But I was a biology major. I did not have a master's in business, or accounting and administration. I then went back to school afterwards and gained some additional, more relevant courses as well. But I would say really posing yourself to be in that best position, because you will not only need as much of the medical background in addition to the management background as well too. And so and of course really recognizing that in research, unlike other businesses where you may turn a profit a little bit sooner, these contracts usually take a little bit longer. So most research facilities don't even see their first paycheck come in until about the 12-month mark. And that's normal, so.
Quite time lag. You need to have good resources behind you.
Yes, sir.
How do you see clinical research changing in rural and community settings over the next 5 years?
I do believe that this will, with the addition of the decentralized trials, you will see a lot. You'll see the patients in the rural communities have more opportunities to participate. I do believe that you'll have more sub-investigators being approached out in the rural communities to help participate in these. And that is one thing that I personally am trying to, to tackle and accomplish myself within our community, is really trying to be able to reach out to those smaller facilities and allowing them to have those patients in those further areas participate. But you will see a lot less of the larger university setting, and then hopefully a little bit more pushing out into the communities as well.
Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap us up, Danielle. Can you tell the audience where they can learn more about Sante Clinical Research and where they can find you if they need you, and how they can reach out to you?
Absolutely. Sante Clinical Research is located at 1230 Bandera Highway in Kerrville, Texas, zip code 78028. Our clinic line is 830-890-5171, and the email address to reach me is dmonclova@santeresearch.net.
Oh, you're on Facebook and any other sites?
Yes, sir. You can definitely reach Sante Clinical Research on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and we also have a TikTok going as well. So we're trying to create some local videos and keep those relevant on there as well.
You're on more social media than me. All right, Daniel. Well, I want to thank you very much for today. I've really, I've learned a lot. I think it's amazing the work you're doing. I'm really bowled over by, the good work you're doing.
Thank you so much.
I have to sign off now.
Thank
No,
you.
you're welcome. I want to thank you for attending. It's been enlightening having you. Don't go away. I'm just going to wrap up. I'm Gary Wayne, signing off. You can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm not on as many sites as Danielle, but you can get me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. My email address is gary@a1solutionsinternational.com. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.